Good afternoon everyone, I'm Surbhi Sardana and I will be taking the weekly current affairs for Geography, Environment, Science and Technology for the past 1 week, that is from August 17 to August 23. Let's see what are the topics that we'll be discussing. कौन से ऐसे topics हैं जो कि important है हमारे exam point of view से. The first one is the Steve phenomena. ये क्या है हम लोग discuss करेंगे. 11 new Ramsar sites have been added. 11 Ramsar wetlands add किए गए हैं और अब Ramsar wetlands जो हैं total 75 हो गए हैं. Then third one is the Endosulfan, the chemical which has been banned for a decade here. And the fourth one is an organization, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. हम इसके बारे में पढ़ेंगे क्या है और ये न्यूज़ में क्यों है. Seize the Mains initiative is coordinated with this current affairs discussion. If you are preparing for any mains examination या आप चाहते हैं future में mains लिखना, so this is an answer writing initiative that is carried out on our website. rajayesacademy.com पर जाकर आप इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर दे सकते हैं. वेबसाइट का डायरेक्ट लिंक, द डायरेक्ट लिंक टू द वेबसाइट इज अवेलेबल इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बिलो. द क्वेश्चन इज डिस्कस द कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ साइंटिफिक एंड इंडस्ट्रियल रिसर्च इन डेवलपिंग एंड प्रमोटिंग द साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम इन द नेशन. सो एक कल्चर डेवलप किया है CSIR ने सिंस 1942 जब से इस्टेब्लिश हुई थी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन आपने स्टडी करना है. Also explain how CSIR has helped in inclusive development in the country. CSIR का vision है, mandate है to help in inclusive economic growth of the country. So how has CSIR helped in that? Yes, good afternoon Rohit. You can send a thumbs up if you are on the live video session, if you are on the live session. This question has to be answered in 250 words. Click on the link in the description. It will take you to rajayesacademy.com. There you can share your answers and our team will respond with their valuable feedback. So now talking about Steve phenomena, the first topic that we have today. Steve phenomena है क्या और ये aurora से कैसे अलग है? For that you should be aware of aurora. What is aurora? We'll learn in a while, but let's see the pictures. If you look at this picture or these three pictures, you will see that this is the sky and ये कुछ violet या pink color की एक line है sky में. Not very much visible in India. India में नहीं दिखती है, but बहुत सारी countries में ये sky में pink या violet color की line visible है. This pink or purple colored line is visible in the sky of countries of United Kingdom, United States of America, New Zealand, Canada, etc. So what is this and ये phenomena है क्या? Basically ऐसा ही एक phenomena colored light देखने का sky में. Seeing colored light in the sky is seen in the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. बहुत ही north अगर आप चले जाएंगे north pole की तरफ, अलास्का वगैरह वाली side, और बहुत ही south चले जाएंगे तो आपको ऐसी colored skies मिलेंगी. You can see colored skies on extreme polar areas of the earth. This is known as aurora. So we will differentiate how aurora is different from Steve. This is also colored, these lights are also colored. aurora के कई सारे colors होते हैं. So why this new kind of light which has been seen in the sky is given a new name? इसको aurora क्यों नहीं बोला जाता है? So basically there was a tweet by one of the astrophotographers that a great showing of Steve phenomena last night, arsing across the sky and showing his green fingers briefly for about 2 minutes. What is it and how is it different from aurora borealis or aurora australis? So Steve stands for Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. STEVE, Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. Basically जो आपको colored sky दिखता है और the colored aurora that we have is because of presence of plasma in the Earth's ionosphere. What happens is that we have sun here and we have earth here. Sun से solar wind आती है, or if it is a very accidental phenomena, then we call it the solar storm. Solar wind or solar storm, when it reaches the earth has a magnetosphere. Magnetosphere earth का हमें protect करता है बाहर की नुकसानदायक radiation से. Earth's magnetosphere actually protects us from the dangerous radiation that is coming from extraterrestrial space or from the sun. So this magnetosphere is kind of this shape near the poles. Poles पे अगर आप देखेंगे तो magnetosphere कुछ इस तरीके का है. तो जो solar wind होता है, it comprises of electrons and ions. It has charged particles. When they enter here अर्थ में जब एंटर करते हैं तो अर्थ के एटमॉस्फेयर में बहुत सारे गैस मॉलिक्यूल्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल ऑक्सीजन मॉलिक्यूल्स, नाइट्रोजन मॉलिक्यूल्स. सो दीज फ्री इलेक्ट्रॉन्स और आयंस विच आर अ पार्ट ऑफ सोलर विंड, थ्रू सोलर विंड दे एंटर, दे रिएक्ट विद दोज मॉलिक्यूल्स. उन मॉलिक्यूल्स में एक्साइटेशन कॉज करते हैं, उन मॉलिक्यूल्स को अपनी जगह से हिलाते हैं, उनका इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन डिस्टर्ब करते हैं. एंड व्हेन दैट इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन comes back to ground state, colors are released, radiation is released which is seen in the form of colors, that is your aurora. So it is due to excitation of gas molecules in Earth's atmosphere or Earth's ionosphere. So oxygen or nitrogen की excitation की वजह से mostly होता है. There can be other gases also causing aurora. If it is at North Pole, it is known as aurora borealis. If it is at South Pole or towards the southern end, it is known as aurora australis. Since we have Australia in the southern hemisphere, this southward phenomena is known as aurora australis, and the above phenomena is known as aurora borealis. So aurora we have discussed before also many times on this channel. Now there is a new kind of colored light that has been seen from east direction to west direction across skies of many nations. उसको हम लोग स्टीव बोल रहे हैं. So what is that? Aurora basically what you see is towards polar areas. But just like I told you that Steve is visible even in United States and Canada, which are not near pole. They are in fact nearer to equator as compared to where aurora is found. So first differentiation is that Steve is actually closer to equator than the auroras, and it is made up of light. Steve को भी plasma ही drive कर रहा है. There are charged electrons and ions, but एक plasma की thick belt है that is running across atmosphere of these countries. So that's why Steve is different from aurora. First, because of its location. Second, because of its color. Third, because it is not due to presence of that permanent plasmosphere or ionosphere that Earth has. It is much closer. Earth के ही atmosphere में एक plasma की layer which is around 25 kilometer thick वो move कर रही है, and wherever it moves, wherever that plasma layer moves, it is interrupted by solar flares or solar storms. Just like recently there was a solar storm, that's why Steve was visible again. So that is why Steve is visible as a colored pink layer in the sky, but aurora is more of a locational or geographical phenomena. Polar areas में होता है, while Steve is due to moving layer of plasma. So it is a rare, mysterious glowing purple arc that runs east to west. It is believed to be caused by 25 kilometer wide ribbon of hot plasma. 25 kilometer wide hot plasma का एक ribbon shaped है, और उसी shape में हमें Steve मिलता है. Steve देखने को मिलता है, just like this, which is moving at a speed of 6 km per second compared to 10 meters per second outside the ribbon at an altitude of 450 km, and it has been observed in New Zealand, Canada, Alaska, United Kingdom during a specific time. Now, why is Steve important? If you are sitting for any preliminary examination, you might be asked about Steve. What is it? कि ये pink color का band क्या है जो इन countries की sky में देखा गया है? So you could be asked a direct question, or you could be asked that is it a subpart of aurora, and is it, is it found in polar areas or things like that? So a very small thing, a very small phenomena, but because it is just not observed in India, it is not very much in news, but it is a very big thing for countries where it is being seen. That's why it has a probability to be asked in recent exams. So any doubts regarding this, any doubts regarding aurora formation and Steve? So this is another diagram of aurora. Here you have the solar flare which turn into solar wind and they reach the earth, and here they interact with the magnetosphere of earth and the molecules and the ionosphere which which causes aurora. So any doubts regarding this? And then we will move to the next topic. Now, all right. So on the 75th Independence Day, 75 Ramsar sites हो गई हैं इंडिया में. On 75th Independence Day, we have reached to a point of delineating 75 Ramsar wetlands in India. What are Ramsar wetlands? And just like on 3rd August we had a discussion in the same session. If you are not aware of Ramsar sites, you can watch that discussion also. So around 3rd August, the government of India delineated around 5. It added around 5 new Ramsar sites. Most of them were in Tamil Nadu. Now 11 new Ramsar sites have been added. A few years back, we had just close to 30 Ramsar sites, and now we have 75. So why is the government wanting to add more and more sites in the Ramsar wetland sites? What is the need, and what is the motive behind it, and what are Ramsar sites basically? So first of all, let's look at this news from PIB. That's 75 Ramsar sites in 75th year of independence. India adds 11 more wetlands to the list of Ramsar sites. So these are the pictures of all the 11 Ramsar sites. Since they are 75 in number, if you are sitting for your state civil services examination prelims, then you must be aware of all the sites which are there from your state. आपकी state से जो भी Ramsar wetlands हैं, आपको उनके बारे में जानकारी होनी चाहिए. And जो भी recent Ramsar sites add हुई हैं पिछले 1-2 साल में, आपको उनके बारे में भी पता होना चाहिए. So yes, so these are the 11 Ramsar sites. See, 3 of them are in Odisha. The first one is Tampara Lake of Odisha. The second is Hirakud Reservoir. The third is Ansupa Lake. If you are sitting for an exam recently in the next 1 to 2 months, you must be aware of their locations also. The next one is Yashwant Sagar in Madhya Pradesh. Chitragundi Bird Sanctuary in Tamil Nadu. 4 of them are in Tamil Nadu. The first one is this bird sanctuary. The second is Suchindram Therur Wetland Complex, Vaduvur Bird Sanctuary, and Kanjirankulam Bird Sanctuary. So these are 4 wetland sites of Tamil Nadu. The next one is in Maharashtra, which is Thane Creek, very famous. The next 2 are from Yashwant Sagar is from Madhya Pradesh, and the last 2 are from JNK, which is Haigam Wetland Conservation Reserve and Shalbhog Wetland Conservation Reserve. So just, you'll get the PDF of this presentation on the Telegram channel. Just go through the locations of each one of these. Rest of it is not important. So what are wetlands? In a recent newspaper article, it was said that just like kidneys have a function for your body, kidneys purify blood, kidneys, aid in purification of whatever you're eating or purification of your body. Similarly, wetlands are kidneys of the earth. Wetlands are small areas filled with water. Underground हो सकता है, कोई छोटी लेक हो सकती है, it can be a lake, it can be pond, it can be underground. दलदल हो सकता है, mangrove area हो सकता है, it can be a marsh, peatland, और somewhere जो राइस की फार्मिंग के लिए पैडी फार्म्स जो होते हैं, they are filled with water for a very long time, sometimes through for the entire year. So sometimes earlier we had these paddy area also, जो कि water से भरा होता है, that was also taken as part of wetlands. Now according to Government of India's website, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, these are not wetlands. So they can be man-made also, they can be natural also. हो सकता है कोई oxbow lake हो, कोई meandering से oxbow lake बन गई हो. So that could also be constituted as wetland. And even if it is a lake which is man-made, lake, pond, any kind of wetland which is man-made, that can also constitute, that can also come under Ramsar wetland. So basically they are kidneys of earth. They purify the systems around, nutrient cycling में help करते हैं, जो भी आपके pollutants होते हैं around the cities, they absorb them, they add to that water cycle, and hence they balance the purity levels of the ecosystems of the earth. They are located in many parts of the world. So that's why this Ramsar Convention 1971 में एक meeting हुई थी ईरान की city Ramsar में. They said that conserving these wetlands और गीले areas जो पानी से भर जाते हैं, इनको conserve करना बहुत important है, because these are kidneys of the earth and without them survival of human beings or any living species will become impossible. So since then conservation efforts have been there and India has been adding a lot of wetlands to the Ramsar site. जब भी किसी wetland को Ramsar wetland का दर्जा दिया जाता है, whenever a wetland is called a Ramsar wetland, there are extra efforts put in its protection and conservation. तो अगर हमारे पास ज़्यादा number of wetlands हैं under the Ramsar list, there are high chances that Government of India, government of that state, of that district, will get more funding and will get more attention so that protection measures can be carried out faster. International funding bhi ho jati hai, there can be grants also towards redevelopment and protection of these wetland areas. So Ramsar Convention ki jo wetlands ki definition hai, it is very broad. It can include lakes, rivers, underground aquifers, swamps, marshes, wet grasslands, peatlands and n number of things. So it has a very liberal definition. So basically whatever is serving the purpose of nutrient cycling, purification या आस-पास की communities को drinking water भी अगर कोई wetland supply कर रहा है, so that can come under the Ramsar list. Now India has basically lost around 30% of wetlands in the past few years, in 3 decades. They say पिछले 30 साल में 30% wetlands जो India के पास थे वो तो खत्म हो चुके हैं. They have been destroyed. And why have they been destroyed? Let's see, for example, there is a small pond nearby where you are staying, and एक season आता है जब बारिश नहीं होती. So after 5 to 10 years, you will realize that that pond is always dry. So what the government does is, or what people do is, they start urbanizing there because they feel that this area will never be filled with water. So cities और inhabitants जो human habitation होती है वो expand करना शुरू कर देती है उस area में, because that is already always dry. So that's why that area, that depression which was actually serving the purpose of pond, which could supply water to nearby areas या nutrient cycling में help कर सकता था, that has actually been covered by a building or some industry या फिर एक just for disposal of waste, वो area बन के रह गया है. So that's how 30% of wetlands have been lost in the past 3 decades, mainly because of unsustainable urbanization, agricultural expansion, illegal construction and pollution. So just like I told you that Ramsar, the meeting in Ramsar was held in 1971 and India added 2 wetlands to Ramsar list in the year 1981. What were these 2 wetlands? First 2 wetlands जो इंडिया की तरफ से थे जो इस लिस्ट में ऐड हुए थे, very important from your exam point of view. The first one was Chilka Lake in Odisha. The next one is Keoladio National Park in Rajasthan. Both of them were added in 1981. As of now, out of all the members of this Ramsar Convention, United Kingdom has the highest number of wetland sites. How many? 100 more than India. So India has 75 Ramsar wetland sites. UK has 175. And the second number is of Bolivia, which the second number is of Mexico, which has 142. And Bolivia has the largest area under Ramsar wetlands. So this is a very important point. In India, जितने भी हमारे wetlands हैं, out of all the wetlands in India, 10% wetlands are covered under Ramsar Convention and rest of them are covered under various laws of the government. So they are protected through Indian government mechanism. 10% of the country's wetlands, total wetland area has now been designated as Ramsar sites, and this is highest in South Asia. South Asia में highest area है India के पास that is covered under wetlands. And the next point that you have to remember is that as of now, Tamil Nadu has the highest number of wetlands followed by Uttar Pradesh. Tamil Nadu has the maximum number of Ramsar sites. Ramsar wetlands, not just wetlands, but Ramsar sites, which is at 14, followed by UP, Uttar Pradesh, which has 10 wetlands. So what is the criteria? अगर किसी wetland को Ramsar wetland बनाना है, for example, in your neighborhood there is a lake or pond, is it eligible to become a Ramsar site or a Ramsar wetland? So before that, you will have to see what is the criteria. Basically, the wetland should contain a representative, unusual or unique natural or near natural wetland form that occurs in the appropriate biogeographic area. Basically, threatened होना चाहिए, एक unique ecology होनी चाहिए, and it should support a lot of species, whether they are bird species or other types of biodiversity. So if these criteria are fulfilled, then it is eligible for becoming a Ramsar wetland. If it is a normal pond or a normal lake, then it is not eligible. It should have like endangered species also or natural communities. For example, the dependence of some tribal community could be there on that pond or lake or wetland what you're trying to put into Ramsar list. या कोई endangered species है, there could be some migratory bird जिसकी eggs की hatching सिर्फ उसी area में होती है या breeding सिर्फ उसी area में होती है. So that has to be seen. Very important thing that is associated with Ramsar wetlands is the Montreux's record. Basically, under Ramsar list, how many whatever wetlands are there, if out of those wetlands you have to give urgent protection to some wetland, if you feel that, if a country feels that urgent protection is required for one of these wetlands because बहुत सारे ecological damage हो चुका है, because a lot of ecological environmental damage has occurred, so that particular wetland, by taking permission or adherence of that particular country, can be added to the Montreux record mechanism. So which is the register of wetland sites on the Ramsar list where changes in ecological character have occurred, are occurring or are expected to occur as a result of advances. So changes हो रहे हैं and वहाँ की जो biodiversity है, the biodiversity there can be under a lot of threat. So from India we have two Ramsar wetland sites which are under Montreux record. The first one is the Keoladio National Park in Rajasthan, which was also one of the first wetlands to be added to the Ramsar site list. The second is Loktak Lake in Manipur. It was added later. Now, these are the wetlands that have been covered. Tampara Lake of Odisha, Hirakud Reservoir of Odisha, basically Hirakud Dam जो है Odisha में Mahanadi River पर, that is one of the longest earthen dams. So, out of that a reservoir is formed. एक हर डैम से एसोसिएटेड रेजर्वॉयर होता है, कोई लेक होती है. सो दैट रिजर्वॉयर, हिराकुड रिजर्वॉयर हैज बीन एडेड टू रामसर लिस्ट. देन इज द अनुसूपा लेक. बिफोर मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, let's rewind and let's see if there are any issues. Yes, Raghav, in Chennai, people are protesting due to the new airport which may destroy many acres of wetlands. In fact, if you refer to the current affairs discussion that we took on 3rd of August, 5 new wetlands are added to the Ramsar wetlands. 5 were added that time and now 11 have been added. So, at that time when we discussed those 5 wetlands, one of them was from Chennai. Tamil Nadu से बहुत ज़्यादा add हो रहे हैं because it is the ecology there is highly threatened and because of urbanization and increasing sea levels, बहुत सारे wetlands जो हैं ख़त्म होते जा रहे हैं. So, near Chennai there are lot of protests going on because people want to conserve these natural areas, whether these are rivers, ponds or lakes. Any doubts with regards to the 11 new Ramsar wetlands that have been added? Alright. So now we'll move on to a very important topic which is about Endosulfan. So what is Endosulfan? Recurrently, after a few months, Supreme Court comes out with one of the judgments or कुछ ना कुछ court order आता है regarding Endosulfan and patients of Endosulfan. So there is this Kasaragod district in Kerala and we call something called the Kasaragod disaster. Basically, Endosulfan is a chemical. ये एक ऐसा chemical है which is used in agriculture, which was used in agriculture. It was banned by Supreme Court back in 2015 after this Kasaragod disaster and when it was recognized internationally also that it is harmful for human use. So, agriculture में क्यों use करते हैं? It is an insecticide or pesticide, whatever you want to call it, especially for cashew nut plantations which are carried out in areas of Kerala or South India. Cashew nut plantations, tobacco plantations and tea plantations. So there are white flies on these plantations. In crops के ऊपर white flies आ जाती हैं या कुछ और insects आ जाते हैं. To kill those insects, Endosulfan was used. It was seen as very effective in killing those insects. So farmers could, take out that farmers could be saved from those insects. वो insects crops को खा जाते थे. So now, Endosulfan was used. Recently, not just recently, around 2011, the governments of all the countries, they started to realize that wherever Endosulfan is used, the people who are actually carrying out that can of Endosulfan and putting it on crops, those people or their babies are reporting some psychological disorders या फिर कुछ ना कुछ physical disorders हैं. There were disorders seen in terms of their mental capacities and physical capacities. So research was carried out in fact by this Down to Earth magazine around 2001. Down to Earth works for protecting the protecting the ecology and environment in the country. India में बहुत extensive research carry out करते हैं. So in 2001 they carried out a research. They broke the story that which brought this Kasaragod disaster, Kasaragod area to light, that endosulfan should not be used because it is causing harmful effects. So what is endosulfan? It is a widely banned pesticide with hazardous effects on human genetic and endocrine system. So it can cause genetic manipulations also. The babies which are born could be affected by this chemical. So not just the people who are using it or consuming the things, but the next generation also, and the endocrine system. Hormonal activity disturb कर सकता है. It is sprayed on crops like cotton, cashew, fruits, tea, paddy, tobacco, especially cashew, to control whiteflies and other insects. So Supreme Court has come out with this, Supreme Court gave directions to Kerala government years ago in 2017. They said कि जो भी endosulfan के usage से, there was this disaster of Kasaragod district in Kerala, in which a lot of cases were reported which had side effects of use of endosulfan. So Supreme Court directed the Kerala government to give them relief. Around 5 lakh rupees were promised, but Kerala government, as the reports suggest, on ground we don't know, probably they have been given relief, but as the data tells us, those people, those patients have not been given relief. Many of them are paralyzed. They are in a vegetative state for their entire life. They cannot even walk. So the government has not given relief, so that's why this chemical was in news. Supreme Court seeks report on medical facilities provided to endosulfan victims of Kerala. So the Supreme Court says that Article 21 is your right to life and personal liberties. Everything is covered under Article 21. So right to medical facilities or right to health is also a part of Article 21, which is right to life. So the right to health is an integral part of the right to life under Article 21. Without health, the faculties of living have little meaning, the court had noted in the case. So the court has directed the government to carry out these relief measures as soon as possible because it is an order of 2017. So that's why this chemical was in news. Now, not just this chemical, see, this is a disaster. The other one was Bhopal Gas Tragedy. After that also, till date, the victims have not got relief. Many of them have not got relief or they have not got justice. So these chemicals, they are regulated by two very important international treaties. दो बहुत important international treaties हैं, conventions हैं जो कि इनके export को या इनके consumption को regulate करती हैं. For example, if some chemical is not, wanted by India, but farmers see that a country like, some Arabian country is using a new type of chemical जो कि एक insect को kill कर देता है, cotton crop के ऊपर, for example. So they want to import that pesticide. Now they cannot import that pesticide or use that pesticide just out of their own wish. There is an international convention called the Rotterdam Convention. Rotterdam Convention of 1998, and India is a member, is a party to Rotterdam Convention. It says that its aim is to promote cooperation and responsibility sharing measures among different countries dealing with trade in hazardous chemicals. जो भी hazardous chemicals होते हैं उनका जो international trade carry out किया जाता है, the international trade of hazardous chemicals is regulated by this particular convention. So prior informed consent, if Indian farmers want to import some kind of new chemical, so they have all the people or any other country who's trying to export it to India, they have to take a consent of government of India. So that is what constitutes the prior informed consent. It is the main feature of the convention and is legally binding on all the party members. Even if India wants to export some new chemical to some other country, this prior informed consent will apply on India. Indian government will have to take permission of that particular country. So this export and import or trade of chemicals does not take place out of the blue. ऐसे freely नहीं होता है. It is very much regulated. So because India is dependent on agriculture. हमारा कितना part of economy, कितने लोगों की employment agriculture पे depend करती है. If chemicals are used without any proper measures, तो it can turn into a biohazard. So PIC facilitates information exchange about nature and trade related information amongst the party members, which is the nation governments. So convention creates obligations for the implementation of prior informed consent. तो आपको domestic legislation भी बनानी पड़ेगी और domestic legislation जो दूसरी country है उसके साथ भी comply करना पड़ेगा. The second one and the more important one is Stockholm Convention of 2001. And under this convention, Endosulfan is banned. Under both of the conventions, Endosulfan is covered. So Stockholm Convention talks about dirty dozen. Dirty dozen means 12. Dirty dozen is a list of chemicals which was banned by Stockholm Convention. It is an international convention. 12 ऐसे chemicals जो कि harmful हैं human use के लिए या biodiversity के लिए, they were banned. So the convention listed POPs as dirty dozen. The convention aims to reduce the concentration of persistent organic pollutants. What are persistent organic pollutants? Basically ऐसी चीजें जो कि एक ट्रॉफिक लेवल से दूसरे ट्रॉफिक लेवल पर जाते हुए अपने साइज में बढ़ जाती हैं. दे इंक्रीज इन क्वांटिटी. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ दे आर एडेड टू सम क्रॉप्स और सम प्लांट्स, if the fruit of that if that insecticide or chemical is used on some plants, for example cashew, so if you're consuming cashew, it will go inside your body. That chemical will also go inside your body. It will stay in the fatty tissues of your body and it will accumulate there. Not just accumulate, it will not just stay, it will increase in the quantity inside the body. So these are basically persistent organic pollutants. Organic in nature, pollutants persistent. They don't give up, they don't die out easily, they don't go away from the environment easily. So these are chemical substances that not only remain in the atmosphere for longer periods but also possess the ability to bioaccumulate. So this is Endosulfan is covered under both the conventions, under the Rotterdam and Stockholm Convention of 2001. So that's why this thing was in news, and these two conventions are very important from your exam point of view. Sometimes, match the following questions are also asked with regards to these conventions. So this was the issue. Now we'll move on to the last topic for today, which is the organization CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. But before that, let me know if there are any doubts with regards to these topics. Yes, Raghav, isocyanate in Bhopal. So, whenever a country gains independence, जब भी independence हुई है countries की, after that they become totally on their own. So, development of science and technology is of main importance, is of prime importance for a country. First of all, food grains for India were ensured by Green Revolution. We gained independence in terms of food grains. But research and having latest technology in India for the people of India is also very important. So there were many organizations. The Space Department was set up after independence. There is one more organization which is there for the promotion of science and technology or for scientific and industrial research, not just basic research but industrial, commercial purposes के लिए भी जो technology use की जा सके उस purpose के लिए. That is the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, but it was not set up after independence. In fact, it was set up in 1942 under some other name, and then because its developments were carried out in later stages, so now it is known as Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. It is the primary organization which handles scientific activities in India. In fact, जो NET का exam होता है physical sciences के लिए, that is also conducted by CSIR. That was conducted by CSIR for a very long time. Stipends for research are given by CSIR only. All scientists, the community of all the scientists of India, they come together under one umbrella of Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So it carries out research, it brings up, it sets up its labs, it sets up industries, brings up new technologies, research और industry के through नई technologies लाते हैं. In fact, the indelible ink, that mark that is put on your little finger after you cast your vote, vote देने के बाद जो indelible ink आपकी finger पे लगाई जाती है, that was also developed by CSIR in India, and we also export that ink to many countries. So the role of CSIR for the scientific community of India is of utmost importance. For a very long time, it was seen that women या जो लड़कियां या औरतें थी बहुत लंबे समय तक साइंस में पार्ट नहीं लेती थी, ह्यूमैनिटीज वर देयर और women were just not even educated. Now they say that number of women scientists has gone up. This is a research that has been conducted by CSIR. CSIR में सब records रहते हैं scientists के. So CSIR, first of all, it has got the first woman director general. CSIR is a body which is autonomous, established in 1942. It is headed by the Prime Minister of India. So जो इसके president है, president is the highest post and president is basically Prime Minister of India ex officio. The second highest post, vice president, is again ex officio. It is headed by Union Minister of Science and Technology. The third highest post, or जो executive post है, these are coming from political arena. The executive post, the highest executive post is the post of Director General, and for the first time in the history of CSIR, India has got first woman Director General. So Director General, Senior Electrochemical Scientist Nalla Thambi Kailash LV has become the first woman Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. So it is a big leap ahead for our country. And also this research has come out that number of women scientists has gone up in the country more than 1/4. That is 28% of scientists in the country now are women. So it is more than 25%. 25% is your 1/4. So it is more than 25, that is 28%. Around 2001 this percentage was 13%. See, this proper percentages are not important, but recent one, this 28% must be important. It is important for your interviews also, for your mains exam also. Of participants in extramural research and development projects were women. Various initiatives taken by successive governments, many state governments, the central government itself carries out many initiatives for promotion of women in science and technology की research में और ज़्यादा women participate करें. So this governing body is led by Director General. Now the Director General is a female as of now, and there are other ex officio members. There is another ex officio member who is the finance secretary. जो financing part है, funding part है, finance secretary looks after that. And there is this CSIR advisory board. So 15 members who are specialists, they are not generalists. 15 members, they could be scientists, they could be parts of scientific community. They constitute the advisory board and they remain in office for a period of 3 years. So what is the vision of CSIR? Mostly we have discussed it. Pursue science which strives for global impact, helps in inclusive development. सब classes को, सब तरीके के लोगों को इंडिया में साथ लेकर चले और देशों की भी help कर सके. For example, the indelible ink also. So it can help other people also, people from other countries. It can help other nations also, and it can help pushing India's standards further in terms of science and technology. So that is the vision. There is a very important award associated with CSIR. CSIR एक बहुत important award देता है हर साल. That is the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize. So Mr. Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar was the first Director General of CSIR, and this SS Bhatnagar Award is the highest award a scientist in India can expect. तो ये scientist के लिए सबसे बड़ा award होता है जो कि national level पे दिया जाता है for the scientific community. Is named after the founder director of CSIR, the late Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar. It was instituted in 1957 as the most coveted and revered prize in the field of science and technology in the country. So just not this, just check who is getting the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar this year, check it for the past year also. And if you're sitting for interviews and you're from a science background, just check the list of people who have got this award from your state. The objective is mostly the same, develop industry, develop like industrial capabilities in terms of science and technology and promote inclusive growth. So this is the end of this session. We have covered most of the important topics of the past 1 week. Tomorrow we'll be taking a session from international relations, art and culture, history. So I'll be covering most of the important topics for tomorrow. I'll see you there, but before signing off, let me know if there are any doubts. Raghav, engineering is a different field. Research in science and technology, that is a different field. When we talk about research in science, we talk mostly about physical sciences or basic sciences. Engineering is considered a different field. So this is a research that has been carried out for people, for women who are going for research, PhDs most probably, or writing research papers. So if there are any doubts, let me know, or we'll just sign off this session. All right, then I'll see you tomorrow for the discussion of international relations. All the best and keep working hard.